Okay, so I started that campaign, which was really just boosting an Instagram post last night, and we're gonna check in on how that's doing right now. So here it is. 898 reached, 3 link clicks, 589 spent total. So this might look very discouraging at the beginning. This might look like, oh my goodness, like, 3 link clicks, 900 people. But you have to keep in mind with this stuff, you want to keep in mind rather that this is not a plug and play thing. This is something that you really want to actually know that this is going to take a while. So here we go. So let's just see, for instance, here's Massachusetts, right? So this looks like this is where we're getting the majority of the. So this is our area here. You have to look at it like this. Okay, so even if this is targeted, you want to look at it. You can look at it however you want, but this is how I would say you want to look at this realistically. So basically, if you put a billboard up on the side of the highway, right? If you put a billboard up on the side of the highway, 430 people are probably going to be passing that billboard and seeing it every minute, roughly, right? So if you have 431 people passing your billboard every minute, do you really expect to get a sale every minute? No, because most of the people are not going to be interested in that product or service, right? The vast majority. And I just wanted to make this video because this is a numbers game. And if you start a campaign and you look at it and it's 1 day in, 2 days in, and you're not really generating sales right away and it's just not looking great, keep in mind that this is not paying for people to buy the book. This is paying for people to see that there is a book. Okay? And very few people are going to want this book out of thousands of people. Very few are actually going to want to buy this, right? But there are hundreds of millions of people on the internet, right? So it's a numbers game. Even if you get this in front of 1 million people and 1% buy it, that's 10,000 people right there with 1%. So don't get emotional about this stuff. Just look at the numbers, see how it's performing. Don't be getting all, oh, we should change this right away. We should do this, that, the other thing. Just let it run. See what happens. Keep in mind that if you sell one of these books, as I discussed in a previous video, that's $9 profit, roughly, right there, minus ad spend. So if you sell one of these books, you're basically covering over half your advertising budget for the day. If you sell two, then you're making a profit. So we'll see how this performs. This is actually just an Instagram boost too, which is not necessarily the greatest advertising platform. There are much more focused ways to do this. But what I'm saying is you basically want to give it at least a day or two to see if it's going to be successful. Because if you just let it run for an hour and nobody buys your product in 1 hour and you spent 50 cents, keep the billboard example in mind. Like, people might actually see that 3 or 4 times before buying it. So I think I'm actually going to make a video about that next, about the actual psychology behind purchasing and how marketing brings people into a purchase. So I think I'm going to make a video on that. This is simply just about seeing numbers like this and not panicking and thinking that you're not going to sell anything, because this is pretty normal here. This is all Instagram stories, for instance. It's running it on Instagram stories. We can change that and have it run Instagram feed. But what Facebook is going to do, or what Meta is going to do, or Instagram, is they're going to attempt to place this in different areas on the platform. And if you cancel your campaign an hour after starting it, they're not going to optimize this. Obviously, Meta or Facebook wants you to continue spending money with them. So if you run an ad that's a decent ad, like we made in the previous videos, if you run an ad and you run it to a decent target audience and it's not converting, you're not going to use Facebook or Meta again to run ads. It's pretty simple. You're just not going to. So they want to optimize it because they want you to keep spending money with them. So basically, when you look at this, they're mapping out what's going to work for this advertisement. And so give it at least a day, I would say. At least a day. At least 24 hours, preferably 48 at the bare minimum. Because when I talk to Google, they're talking about 3 months to optimize a campaign. 3 months. So if you run it short-sighted and run an ad for 1 day and it's not really converting to sales, you might want to keep in mind that this can take up to 3 months just to optimize. Just to optimize, never mind actually getting to a point where you're really, really, really doing well. So, just wanted to check in about that here.